Hello everyone, myself Prasujya Praveen Das. So today we will be discussing a very famous and relevant topic from our paper Conquest of America. And the topic is Christopher Columbus voyages. So as per SAR's guidelines, our team will be discussing two voyages, the first voyage and the second voyage. We will be commenting on those two voyages and comparing those two voyages as a whole. So many historians have commented, on Christopher Columbus's voyages on his own self accounts. So these comments of the various historians, provide a detailed account of Christopher Columbus' four voyages, but we'll be discussing these two voyages. So Christopher Columbus discovered a new world, which he named Indies, but he was actually on his way to discover a route to Asia, basically India at that time. So some historians who have commented on Christopher Columbus's journey are Peter Martyr, Captain Gonzalo Fernandez de Oviedo, Fray Bartolome de la Casas, and Columbus's own son, Hernando Colon. So the whole narrative given by these historians, covers the journey of Columbus, Columbus's own background, his motivations for exploration, the challenges he faced during exploration, uh, in securing backing for voyages. Columbus had to struggle a lot. Also he had to face a lot of consequences because of his discoveries in the New World. Columbus, a man, initially he was a Genoese sailor. Okay, so with modest origins, he embarked on his first voyage with the aim of finding a direct route to Asia, envisioning the significant amount of wealth basically for Spain, because Spain was the only one country which backed the Columbus first voyage. Columbus had to go to various rulers, urging them to fund for his expeditions, but it was only Spain, the King of Spain and the Queen, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, who had motives to spread Christianity throughout the world, and so they basically funded Columbus's expedition. Uh, so the whole account, by the historians, the whole comments by the historians on Columbus's, this first voyage, it details Columbus's interactions with indigenous peoples, his attempts to establish settlements, his search for the riches in the New World, his clashes with the indigenous people in the New World or the Indies. Also, Columbus's disagreements with his own Spanish authorities, his Spanish companions. So these all are the things basically stated by the historians who have given a narration on Columbus's first voyage. Uh, so the description on this first voyage also reveals very friendly encounters by Columbus. A lot of havoc and tension created during this first voyage is also being highlighted by the historians. Columbus's illusions about the lands he discovered, including his belief that he had reached Asia. Till Columbus assumed that he had reached Asia. This thing also contributed, to his misinterpretations of his geography, which had been highlighted by the historians, perspective. So, and Columbus's persistent, search for mythical riches had also, contributed towards this narrative by the historians. So the first voyage is basically divided into three narratives given by three historians of that contemporary era, or writers we can say. They are basically, the starting is given by Captain Gonzalo Fernandez de Oviedo. The second portion is being narrated by Bartolome de la Casas, and the third one, that is the return journey of Columbus back to Spain, Palos, by Columbus's own son Hernando Colon. And the fourth part is basically Columbus's own letter to Queen and King Ferdinand. So this is basically the whole structure of the first voyage, and the rest of the detailed explanation will be provided by my co-partner Monica and her other partner, that is Akash.
Hello guys, Monica. I am from Ramjas College. Today I will be discussing on the narrative of the various historians. Firstly, I will be discussing on the narrative of the Captain Gonzalo. Captain Gonzalo describes the background of the Captain Columbus' origin or early experience. He he describes him as a man of decent percentage, and he was well educated, and Columbus traveled extensively in the Mediterranean before he settled in the Portuguese. Later on, Captain Gonzalo also describes the motives which inspired him for his voyages. He call, Gonzalo believes that Captain Columbus was not the only one who has the knowledge of the ancient landscape. Captain Gonzalo believes that Columbus already aware of the ancient landscape. So he in his favor, in his favor, Captain Gonzalo also makes a reference of the history of the Aristotle, in which he makes a reference to the Carthaginian who discovers the land on the coast of the West Africa. In the later on, Captain Gonzalo criticized the Columbus that he said that he was not the truly discover the land, but rather he rediscovered the land which already known to the ancient people. In the later on, Captain Gonzalo describes that what is the motive and also the possible ways which made his discovery possible. Lastly, Captain Gonzalo mentioned that Columbus' journey into the New World was only possible because of his knowledge of the ancient authority and also the funding that he received from the Spanish monarch. Like, for example, Ferdinand and his queen Isabelle.
For handing over to me to proceed with the next discussion of the part by Bartolome de las Casas narrative on Columbus's logbook. So as you have already stated that how Columbus was able to garner support from the rulers of Spain to fund this expedition. So I will be now continuing with Bartolome de las Casas narrative on Columbus's logbook. So Christopher Columbus in his logbook describes how he was commissioned by King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain to find a new route to India, Asia particularly. But it was basically everyone wanted to discover India at that time by sailing westwards from Europe. So Columbus explains that his mission was motivated by the desire to spread Christianity to distant lands, as well as to explore new territories and expand Spain's influence all over the world. Columbus also mentions that he departed from Granada in May 1492 exactly, and after that he went to the port of Palos, where he prepared his 3 ships with which he was to embark on the whole journey of his first voyage. So on August 3, he set sail from the Canary Islands with the intention of reaching the Indies. So he went on, and he had to encounter very much crucial circumstances during his whole journey in reaching the new world basically. So from Columbus's diary, we can also get detailed account of his journey to the Americas. Columbus describes his departure from Spain, the signs he observed, such as indicating the proximity of land and his encounters with the indigenous population upon arrival in the Indies. He also mentions how he made preparations in Granada before his departure, including the expulsion of Jews from Spain and the outfitting of his fleet in the port of Palos. By going on and on, finally on October 12, 1492, Columbus, sighted a land. And, Columbus and his crew made a landfall on an island in the Bahamas, which called Guanahani. So Columbus there describes, the native people he encounters there, his experiences with them, their customs, their rituals, their culture, and exchange of goods that happened between Columbus and those native people. Columbus's entire journal entry, provides a detailed account of his exploration of various islands that he discovered in his, journey in the Caribbean during his first voyage in 1492. So he describes his encounters basically, particularly in his logbook, by noting down the exact dates when, on what date, what happened. Basically, you can say there we can find from his logbook from October 15th to 28th of October, Columbus describes the whole journey. Oh, so this whole journey, it gives us a vivid explanation, a vivid picture of his full exploration of the new world, including his interactions. It basically, we can say, it reflects the excitement and challenges of European exploration, because it was happening for the first time during the age of discovery. So the next part I will be handing over to Akash, so that he could continue with the next narrative by Hernando Colon on Columbus's life. Thank you.
धन्यवाद प्रसूरजा, धन्यवाद मोनिका। आप दोनों की बात को मैं आगे बढ़ाते हुए हर्नांडो कोलोन के वर्णन का जिक्र करूंगा। उन्होंने किन किन बातों का जिक्र किया है, विशेष रूप से वो कोलंबस की जो वापसी यात्रा है उसका वर्णन करते हैं। उनके वापसी के वक्त क्या क्या उनको कठिनाइयां हुई, किन किन बातों का उन्होंने जिक्र किया, वो सारी बातें जो हर्नांडो कोलोन है वो उन सब चीजों का वर्णन करते हैं। हमें हर्नांडो कोलोन का वर्णन करते हुए इस बात का जिक्र करते हुए इस बात की तरफ भी ध्यान रखना जरूरी है कि वो उनके पुत्र थे, कोलंबस के पुत्र थे। ठीक है, तो कोलंबस ने कैरेबियन आइलैंड की एक्सप्लोरेशन का जो वर्णन किया था उसके बारे में जो हर्नांडो कोलोन है वो उस बात को आगे बढ़ाने की कोशिश करते हैं, उस बात को रखने की और विशेष रूप से जो है और है वो क्यूबा के डिस्कवरी के ऊपर है। क्यूबा में किस तरीके से उसकी एक्सप्लोरेशन की गई उसके बारे में वो जिक्र करते हैं। वो क्यूबा के रिवर्स के बारे में भी बताते हैं, जैसे एक रिवर का वर्णन करते हुए वो रियो डी मार्स का जिक्र करते हैं और उसके बैंक पे, उसके किनारे पे कौन कौन सी बस्तियां थी, वहां के स्थानीय लोग थे, उनका वर्णन भी कोलोन है वो अपने इस हिस्से में करते हैं। इसके अलावा वो वहां के स्थानीय लोगों के साथ कोलंबस के किस प्रकार से एनकाउंटर्स हुए हैं, उन एनकाउंटर्स का जिक्र भी वो करते हैं। वहां के फ्लोरा के बारे में, जैसे वहां के पेड़ पौधे, वहां के पशु पक्षी और वहां के जानवरों का जिक्र भी कोलंबस के द्वारा जो देखा गया उसका वर्णन हर्नांडो कोलोन अपने वक्तव्य में, अपने बात में करते हैं, अपने लेख में करते हैं। इसके अलावा वो जो भी पेड़ पौधे, जो भी जानवर वहां पे मिले, उनकी तुलना वो यूरोप के जानवरों से या यूरोप के पेड़ पौधों से करते हैं और वो उन पेड़ पौधों को विशेष रूप से देखने की कोशिश करते हैं या फिर उन पेड़ पौधों का विशेष रूप से जिक्र करते हैं जो वहां पे यूरोप में नहीं पाए गए हैं, उनको विशेष रूप से देखने की कोशिश वो करते हैं। और जो भी हर्नांडो कोलोन का वर्णन है उसमें हमें स्पष्ट रूप से देखने को मिलता है कि वो किस तरीके से प्राकृतिक संपन्नता को दर्शा रहे हैं, जो उस एरिया की प्राकृतिक संपन्नता है उसको दर्शाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। इसके अलावा कोलोन ने वहां के स्थानीय लोगों के सामाजिक और आर्थिक जीवन का भी जिक्र किया है। इसके अलावा वहां के जो रीति रिवाज थे, उन रीति रिवाजों का भी जिक्र वो करते हैं। वहां के लोगों के आवास किस प्रकार के होते थे, घरों का आकार किस प्रकार का होता था, वहां के लोगों का खान पान के रीति रिवाज कौन कौन से थे, उनका वर्णन भी जो कोलोन है वो करते हैं। अब उन सामाजिक रीति रिवाजों का जिक्र करते हुए उनकी तुलना कई बार वो यूरोप के रीति रिवाजों से करते हैं और इस तुलना करते वक्त वो कई बार वहां के जो रीति रिवाज है उनको इंफीरियर या फिर लो क्वालिटी का या फिर इंफीरियर दर्शाने की कोशिश करते हैं। तो हमें इस बात को भी एक बार गौर से देखना चाहिए। इसके साथ साथ कोलोन ने अपने वर्णन में निरंतर सोने की खोज का जिक्र किया है, सोने की खोज की है, सोने को पाने की कोशिश की है। तो इससे ये देखने को मिलता है कि वो उनकी जो भी यात्रा रही है उसमें वो आर्थिक हितों को बहुत ज्यादा फोकस कर रहे हैं और दूसरा वो उनके लालच को भी ये दर्शाने की कोशिश करता है कि किस तरीके से एक लालच का एक तरीके से उनके अंदर भाव भी था। इसके अलावा जो सबसे आखिरी हिस्सा है फर्स्ट वॉइस का, वो कोलंबस ने अपनी जो यात्रा थी उस यात्रा की सफलता के बाद जो लेटर्स लिखे हैं उन लेटर्स को डेडिकेटेड है और वो जो लेटर्स थे उनमें सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट लेटर है स्पेन के राजा और स्पेन की रानी फ्रेंच फर्डिनेंड, राजा फर्डिनेंड और इसाबेला को जो लिखा गया लेटर है वो सबसे ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है। उसमें वो अपनी 33 दिनों की यात्रा में जिन आइलैंड्स का उन्होंने जिन आइलैंड्स की उन्होंने खोज की उसका जिक्र करते हैं। उन आइलैंड्स का किस तरीके से उन्होंने नामकरण किया उसका भी वो जिक्र करते हैं। जैसे सेंटा मारिया, गुआना जो क्यूबा का नाम था, इस तरीके से जो भी उन्होंने नाम रखा उन आइलैंड्स का उसका जिक्र भी वो करते हैं। और वो ग्रेटिट्यूड प्रकट करते हैं जो भी सहायता उनको स्पेन के तरफ से, स्पेन के राजा के तरफ से उनको प्राप्त हुई उसे लेकर भी। उसके अलावा वो जो गॉड है, गॉड को भी एक ग्रेटिट्यूड प्रकट करते हैं कि उनकी सहायता से या उनकी वजह से ये सारी चीजें हो पाई हैं। इसके साथ साथ वो उन क्षेत्रों की आर्थिक संपन्नता का भी जिक्र करते हैं कि किस तरीके से उनके आर्थिक संसाधनों का हम उपयोग कर सकते हैं और उसका यूज करके हम किस तरीके से आगे अपना फायदा कर सकते हैं। तो थैंक यू सो मच। आगे मैं कृष्णा को इनवाइट करूंगा और कृष्णा आगे आप इसका वर्णन करेंगे। थैंक यू।
So till now you guys have discussed about the first voyage of Columbus. Now we will be discussing about the second voyage of Columbus. So I will be giving a short introduction. Unlike his first voyage, which was primarily exploratory in nature, Columbus' second voyage had a more focused purpose. This time he aimed to establish a permanent settlement and to find gold and other valuable resources. In his first voyage, as you have mentioned, that he had only three ships and approx 90 men. In his second voyage, he had a much more bigger fleet, and he had approx 17 ships and around 1500 men, including soldiers, farmers, and craftsmen. This larger fleet indicates that he has a more ambitious endeavor and a greater commitment to establish a permanent presence in New World. So during his second voyage, Columbus explored a wider range of Caribbean islands. He visited many islands just like Dominica, Antigua, and Montserrat, and he tried to expand the European knowledge of the region and laying the future groundwork of colonization. So, and during his second voyage, he had some mixed kind of interaction with the native people. Some welcomed him, and sometime he had to fight with the natives, like we will be seeing in the case of Caribs. So, Columbus founded various settlements during his second voyages, including La Isabela on the island of Hispaniola. These settlements represented the beginning of European colonization in the Americas and led the foundation of Spanish Empire's presence in the region. And I was recalling an incident of the, you can say, when he first met the Caribs. So he gave a description of the people, how Caribs people appeared. So Columbus crew encountered villages which were inhabited by these people. They call themselves Caribs. So when the men of Columbus arrived at the shore, the whole villager fled. Upon seeing these big ships, some crew member went ashore and captured indigenous people, including women and boys. Conflict arose when a small boat carrying the Caribs approached Columbus' fleet. The Carries attempted to flee but were persuaded by Columbus' men, and a confrontation ensued between the both parties and resulted in some fatalities. And during the second voyages of Columbus, he vividly described about the geography and what the food they eat, the natives, what food the natives eat, and what kind of trade they were doing with the other villages and all. Mainly, we can say that the second voyages of Columbus was purposely for the he was there for establishing a permanent colony, so that in future he can trade with America and he can establish a permanent Spanish empire. So from now, Baljit will be giving a wide description about the encounters Columbus and his men had with the natives and what kind of, you can say, welcome and what kind of conflict he had to do with the natives to establish a colony and to get their things to trade to back in Spain. So now Baljit will be doing this. Baljit.
Hi, I'm Baljit Kaur, and I'll be taking over from where Krishna left, and I'll cover the part of where the Columbus encountered the indigenous people. So we can see two types of reactions of indigenous people. On one side, there was the confrontation of both sides, and when the villagers fled upon seeing the ship, and later they were captured. This shows the kind of conflict and tension between the Europeans and indigenous people during the encounter. During their expeditions for the location of the settlement, the Europeans also got to know about the stories of what happened to the missing Christians. And not only the stories, they also met one person who was found wounded. Later, when during the admiral's expeditions, they found a potential settlement area on the coast, they were again encountered with the resistance from the natives. However, when the Europeans discovered immense natural resources, including gold deposits, we can see some kind of attempt to maintain better interaction with the natives for the economic exploitation purposes. As mentioned, when Columbus went to examine the gold expeditions, he encountered the natives who treated him really respectfully. And in fact, when he discovered the Puerto Grande, he encountered friendly natives who were offering him food and assistance. And this happened because they believed, the native people believed that Europeans had come from sky and provided help to them. Even in the Jamaica as well, the natives showed resistance, but a peaceful trade balanced the situations. So they believed that the Europeans were somehow uh, outer thing, but they still managed with them because of the economical purposes. And most during the most of the on the most of the islands he discovered, he found natives to be friendly who provided water and food, aiding the expeditions. Even the natives helped with providing information about the other mainland areas and the islands. Example, the Cuba being an island was something which was told by an indigenous people. However, wherever the resistance was witnessed, the punishment was given and the things were managed and peace was maintained. So the next part, the conclusion of this voyage would be done by Rishikesh, and Rishikesh would take over from here.
Yeah, thank you, Baljit. So I'll be covering up the second voyage of Columbus and things he encountered during his second voyage. So basically, what was it that Columbus basically established his governorship in the island of this Hispaniola. So in 1493, he aimed to further explore the colonize the new discovered lands as well as to establish permanent settlements. And to like the 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 monarch also wanted to establish a Spanish territory in the New World. And then after that, it is there was also some unsettled things in his crew. So there was hunger and there was mass confusion because everyone thought that Columbus was leading everyone to somewhere else. And so as Columbus told that their voyage was going to be short, but it took very long and long and long. And also that's a bit of a rebellious crew. And after that, when he reached the New World, then he interacted with the indigenous people. The you know he exchanged their ideas, and basically when new people come to new land, they take some new diseases with them. And that's what happened with the advent of the Spaniards into the New World. So basically, they took diseases, the new diseases to the country, because of which the indigenous people, there was a mass extinction of the indigenous people. Actually, it was like that. So after that, there was a search for a new city called El Dorado. In between them, they thought that there was a city with abundance of gold, which was called El Dorado. It was a myth, but they thought that the New World would contain too much gold for them, and they searched for it. And after that, Columbus appointed new governors for the new colonies, you know. And after that, there was a conflict with the natives because they didn't want it to, mm, open the new world, open the world with some new people, new unseen people. As basically, this Columbus and his crew were white, and they were the indigenous people. So they thought these people were something else. And then what happened was Columbus introduced new livestock to the islands, and just like because Europe had some different category of animals, and this Cuba and Haiti and all, they had some other things going on around them. So what happened was there was conflicting ideas, conflicting, conflicting people. Everything was in a conflict. But what happened was Columbus finally was able to establish uh, a colony to make the new world a colony of of Spain. So that pretty much sums up the second voice of Columbus. And yeah, I would like to conclude my sentence here. Thank you.